Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is PsychoGold, this is PsychoGold Videos, and today we are going to be checking out the D23 first look at Star Wars Episode 9. Now, The Mandalorian came out a couple of days ago, the trailer anyway, and we checked that out. I've gone back and forth on whether or not I even want to cover Star Wars Episode 9 because of the slight issues Star Wars has had with its films. I, like Rogue One, wasn't a big fan of The Last Jedi, and I liked The Force Awakens when it first came out, but I've kind of changed my mind on it as time's gone on when I've rewatched it. There are good aspects in the films, but there are also a lot of negatives. Rogue One is easily my favourite of the new films that have come out. I actually did enjoy Solo as well. There's a lot in Solo that I wish they'd done differently, but as an adventure film, I really liked it. I just got really irritated with a lot of their decisions. My main issue with Solo was Solo. Didn't think that was him, quite frankly. There were moments where it did feel like that was Han Solo. Helped a lot when Chewbacca came along, but I actually was far more interested in all the new characters, the smugglers group that we met at the beginning, and then the characters that I liked the best seemed to die, so I was kind of like, oh, helpful. Either way, we're going to check this out. I kind of already know what we're in for because everybody's been talking about this long before they put the footage online. And quick note, yes, sorry, the lead is still here. I still don't have my headphones, my normal ones, so yeah. Either way, let's check out this video. 3, 2, 1, go. I hear it. Oh! Well, that's a fairly recognizable shot. This doesn't look like new footage. No, I remember reading that there's a ton of old footage first. Ah, man. Ah, look at those AT-ATs. It's not true! I like this. Oh, yeah. Isn't that the voiceover they used for the very first Force Awakens trailer? When we all thought foolishly that, you know, Luke was actually going to be in that film, since he was, you know, voicing the trailers.
This is your fight.
Not hiding on an island somewhere. Okay, we're getting close to, I'm guessing, new stuff. This Christmas. Hey, they're all actually going to be together. What a great idea. Ah, Leia. Carrie Fisher. Whoa, wait a minute. No, okay, no one mentioned the fact that those are Imperial Star Destroyers, not First Order ones. C-3PO with the red eyes. Boomerang lightsaber. Oh, okay, Kylo and Rey fighting on a ship.
Yes, it's him.
Palpatine. Vader. Oh, there she is. Dark Side Rey. The Rise of Skywalker. December. This film is not yet rated. Well, I highly doubt it's going to be a hard R or an 18. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it. Okay, so obvious shot we're going to talk about aside, Imperial Star Destroyers and what looked to me like Rebel ships. There were a lot of older ship designs when all those Rebel ships came in. I saw a lot of Y-Wings and X-Wings and A-Wings, and they look like Mon Cal frigates coming in with them, but none of them looked like new era ships. They looked like Rebellion ships, you know? Sorry, I just realized I could take my headphones off. I'm so used to leaving them on. But yeah, those were some very interesting ship designs. Now, like I said, it could be in the past, but if it's not and it's in the present, I suppose it's because when we last saw the Resistance, because we couldn't call them the Rebellion again, I guess, they weren't in very good shape. They were down to like the last handful of people that they could fit on the Millennium Falcon, but allegedly the fires of rebellion had been lit across the universe again thanks to Luke Skywalker turning up, even though I don't know how the rest of the universe was supposed to know that, because the only people on that planet were the First Order and the Resistance people that were running away, and no one had bothered to come and help them. So I never really got that, but we'll have to wait and see. But the fact that they showed off so many Imperial Star Destroyers, and I'm fairly confident those were ISD-1s, which means, like I said, they're older. They're not the ISD-2s that we saw in Return of the Jedi and I think Empire Strikes Back. I find it very odd that they specifically showed ISD-1s. Maybe there were some ISD-2s in there as well, but I can't help but think that maybe that what we saw then was a flashback to something that's going to be relevant. Maybe a fight between a rebel fleet and a large amount of Star Destroyers, to be completely honest. That is a lot of Star Destroyers. Or, what I'm actually wondering, because obviously we know that Palpatine is in this one, we know that the Emperor is back somehow. Is that an Empire fleet waiting for the Emperor to return? Is there pockets of the Empire sitting out there in very remote hidden locations just waiting for their call back to action? Because to see the Empire come along and just crush the, quite frankly, awful villains that we have in the First Order would be perfection. And it's not the First Order's fault. I feel like they started off great in The Force Awakens, but they were pretty much reduced to nothing in The Last Jedi. And again, some segments of The Force Awakens unfortunately didn't help them. I mean, General Hux was amazing in The Force Awakens and then became comedy relief in The Last Jedi, which I hated. Kylo Ren, I need to rant about him separately, but Captain Phasma was basically pointless in both films. She didn't do anything in The Force Awakens, and then when she did try and do something in The Last Jedi, she was defeated and, to my knowledge, is dead, so we won't be seeing her again. I don't know. It just feels to me like the films haven't grasped that Darth Vader was such a cool villain because he actually did stuff. You know, The Empire Strikes Back is considered one of the best films because The Empire Strikes Back. They were a terrifying opponent. Vader was a scary opponent. Boba Fett, alright, he doesn't have many lines, but he did actually get some work done in The Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back worked because the heroes lost, and that's something that the new Star Wars films seem to really struggle with. They really, really don't want the good guys to lose, ever. Even though, without that, why do we care? If there's no real chance of the good guys losing, or the heroes losing, however you want to look at it, then why am I invested? And that brings me nicely to my rant about Kylo Ren, which is he's a completely useless villain. He never wins. He couldn't beat Rey in the first film, he couldn't beat Rey in the second film, he could barely hold his own against the Red Guard, even though he's supposed to be this big, powerful, dark Sith warrior thing, because they don't really call him a Sith from memory in the new films. But he's not, you know, no, he's just nothing, And the reason why I bring that up is because the last shot of the trailer, which, let's face it, is what everybody's talking about, is Darkseid Rey and her foldy lightsaber, which is not Darth Maul's lightsaber. I've seen so many people say that. Darth Maul's lightsaber doesn't fold like that. Here's what I actually think the film is going to do. I think that is a clone of Rey, and I think that Rey, in general, is going to turn out to be a clone, which I think is going to link back to what we saw in The Last Jedi when she went into the cave on the planet that Luke was on, where she saw herself multiplied by many. I think that was the Force's way of trying to tell her what she is. She's a clone, and there are many more like her. Now, I don't know how many more, or maybe there were many, but now there are only a handful, or maybe there are only two. One light side, one dark side. I don't know. But I'd be very, very surprised if that actually is Rey. Now, a lot of people have been saying that they think that that could be a vision, or a dark side cave. Yes, that is a possibility, but I personally don't think it is, because the folding lightsaber is very specific. I don't really see why a vision version of Rey, or something going on inside her head, would have such a unique weapon. If it had been a completely mirrored version of how we normally see Rey, but her lightsaber was red instead of blue, then yeah, I'd say it was a vision. but she was visually different from Rey that we are used to seeing. I don't think that's Rey in a vision. I believe that that is either another Rey, or that is actually Rey gone to the dark side. But I'd be very, very surprised if Disney did that. But this film is called The Rise of Skywalker, and to our knowledge, Rey isn't a Skywalker, but Kylo Ren is. Ben Solo is technically a Skywalker, and this is a hell of a long shot, but there are some hints to suggest that maybe Rey is going to go to the dark side, or maybe there's going to be an evil Rey that Rey isn't going to be able to beat, and they're going to need Kylo Ren's help to do it, because in the very first film, Snoke says that if Skywalker returns, that the new Jedi will rise. Everybody assumed that they were talking about Luke. Everybody assumed that the new Jedi would be Rey. But Luke did return, kind of. What if the Skywalker that is going to rise is actually Kylo, and he's going to redeem himself? I wouldn't actually care either way. He's done some pretty horrible things, and he killed Han Solo, his dad. So I don't really want him to redeem himself, because he, on top of all of that, if he does redeem himself, he is literally just a Vader clone incarnate, but unable to get any work done, which will be very irritating. On the other hand, if he does decide to fight Dark Rey, regardless of if she's the real Rey or an evil Rey, that would actually mean that I could forgive The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi for the way in which they've treated Kylo Ren, because every time Kylo fights Rey, he loses. But if he is now the one that we are cheering, and it's an evil Rey that is the opponent, and she is literally the definition of overpowered, then suddenly that turns everything on its head, and they've been setting Rey up to be the unstoppable force of nature that she is in these films, but now she's a bad guy. She is very similar to Palpatine in that respect. Palpatine was ridiculously strong as well, and the only handful of times I think he usually lost is when he had designed himself to lose that way. He very rarely ever let himself get put into a situation he couldn't win. And if you've read Lords of the Sith, if you've seen the Clone Wars animated series, then you know how strong he is when he's not being held back by witnesses or something coming along that he requires a loss. If Rey and Ben Solo have to fight, Ben is coming into this fight as the underdog that never beats Rey, and him being the only person that might stand a chance of defeating either an evil clone of Rey or the real Rey, then that would actually be interesting to watch, because Ben always loses to Rey. If finally being able to best Rey requires her to be a dark side, or if that's how he redeems himself, or if something along that lines is going to happen, if Kylo is going to fight dark side Rey regardless of what she is, that would actually be kind of cool to see, because it would allow him to complete his journey of finally being able to defeat her, even if it's not necessarily what you're rooting for, given that he was the bad guy in the last two films. Either way though, I'm kind of excited for Star Wars Episode 9 after seeing that trailer, or teaser. I would like to see more before I decide if I'm going to bother seeing it in the cinema, but after The Mandalorian, I'm kind of in a Star Warsy mood, but I also find it very telling that the things that excited me in that trailer was the stuff that wasn't new. It was seeing the Star Destroyers, it was seeing the Rebel ships, it was hearing Palpatine's voice, it was hearing Luke's voice, and then the only thing that was mildly... Well, actually no, C-3PO's red eyes was interesting as well, but I don't think that's actually going to be anything. I think that's just there to try and get people talking. And then of course the final shot of Rey looking like she's turned to the dark side, which would be more impressive had Rogue One not ended its trailers with the exact same type of shot, with the main female hero standing there looking at the camera, wearing Imperial armor in a very ominous looking shot, making it look like she's actually a bad guy, which is pretty much exactly what they've just done in this trailer. So we all know that Rogue One had a lot of stuff in its trailer that didn't make it into the film, and I'm fairly confident that stuff being in the trailers not making it into the film is a running theme of the Star Wars new era things that I'm reliably informed has now all been renamed to the Age of Resistance or something. Like there's the Age of the Rebellion, the Age of something or other. I don't know. They've renamed all of the eras, which I don't think I'm ever going to adopt those long-ass names compared to prequel, original trilogy, and sequel trilogy. That's much easier to remember. Anyway, before I ramble on about more stuff that's got nothing to do with what we just watched, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. That's it for me. Leave comments down below letting me know, are you going to bother to go and see Rise of the Skywalker? Does it excite you? Does it even interest you? Or are you too far gone that you just don't care anymore? Either way, I want to know. That's going to be it for me though, guys. I will see you in my next video. This is Psycho Gorge signing out, and I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you all next time.